The night was silent. The city outside was sleeping. Only a few cars moved on the distant road. Inside a small apartment, one human sat alone. His name was Daniel. He lived a quiet life, away from noise and away from people. He liked books, old movies, and late-night coffee. On this night, Daniel was reading a book when something strange happened. Knock, knock. At first, he thought it was just the sound of pipes or maybe the wind. He ignored it, but the sound came again, louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. Daniel frowned. Who would come to his door at midnight? He was not expecting anyone. He lived alone. He had no friends nearby. No one ever visited him at this time. Slowly, he put down his book. His heart began to beat faster. He stood up, his feet cold against the floor. The knocking continued, steady, almost too steady, like a clock. Daniel whispered to himself, "This is strange. Very strange." He walked to the door. His hand stopped at the handle. He felt fear crawling inside him. Should he open it? What if it was a thief, or worse? He hesitated, holding his breath. Finally, he gathered his courage and pulled the door open. What he saw made his eyes go wide. Standing there was not a man, not a woman, not anything he had ever seen before. It was tall, taller than any person he knew. The figure wore what looked like a maid's uniform, but it was silver, shining faintly under the dim light. The face was covered by a smooth mask that glowed with a soft blue light. In its hand it held a silver bucket. The creature tilted its head slightly as if studying him. Then, in a calm and steady voice, it spoke. "Human, can you wash me?" Daniel froze. His mind could not understand. Did this creature just speak English? Did it just ask to be washed? He blinked, thinking he was dreaming. But no, the figure stood there, waiting, holding the bucket, its glowing mask staring directly at him. Daniel took a step back. What are you?" he whispered. The creature did not answer his question. Instead, it repeated the same words, this time softer. "Human, please. Wash me." Daniel's mouth went dry. He had seen many strange things in books and movies, but never in real life. His body wanted to slam the door shut, to run and hide under his bed, but something inside him, curiosity maybe, kept him still. The figure stepped forward slightly, the bucket shining in the faint light. Daniel noticed that its hands were covered with long gloves. Every move was graceful, almost too perfect. "Why me?" Daniel asked in a shaky voice. The alien maid tilted its head again. For a moment there was silence, only the faint hum of the city outside. Then it spoke. "Because only humans can do this. Only you." Daniel felt his skin crawl. His mind raced with questions. Who was this creature? How did it know about humans? And why did it come to his apartment of all places? He tried to laugh nervously. "This is crazy. I must be dreaming. You want me to wash you? Like, with water?" The figure gave a slow nod. "Yes, with water." Daniel's chest tightened. He did not know whether to be afraid or fascinated. The glowing mask and silver uniform looked otherworldly. The voice, though mechanical, carried a strange calmness, almost like a plea. Something about the moment felt heavy, important. This was not just a visitor. This was something bigger. Something dangerous, maybe. The alien maid lifted the bucket and held it closer to him. "Please, human, help me. Wash me." Daniel swallowed hard. He looked at the bucket, then back at the glowing mask. His body trembled. 100 thoughts crashed in his head. Should he run? Should he call someone? Or should he step into this strange mystery that had just arrived at his door? The knocking sound was gone now, replaced by silence. Silence so thick it felt alive. Daniel's heart beat louder than ever. He felt as if the whole universe was watching him, waiting for his answer. He whispered to himself, "This is not normal. This is not real. But what if it is? The alien maid stood motionless, waiting. The silver bucket reflected the faint light of the apartment. Its glow touched Daniel's face, making him look pale, uncertain. Finally, Daniel took a slow breath. He did not move forward yet, but he also did not close the door. His eyes locked with the glowing mask. His fear mixed with curiosity, and then the thought came to him. Maybe this knock on the door was not an accident. Maybe this moment was meant to happen. The night was no longer silent. It was full of secrets, full of shadows. And Daniel had just stepped into a story far bigger than his lonely apartment. Daniel stood frozen at the doorway, staring at the strange visitor. His mind tried to find logic, but nothing made sense. An alien maid, holding a silver bucket, asking him to wash her. It was too strange, too unreal. And yet, she stood there, calm and patient, as if this moment was natural. He finally found his voice. Why me? Why here? There are billions of humans on Earth. Why did you come to me? The alien tilted her head. The soft glow from her mask flickered slightly, like a pulse. Her voice was steady, but there was a strange sadness in it. Because you were chosen, you live alone, you are quiet, you are not watched. This makes you safe. Daniel's heart skipped. Not watched? The words carried weight. Someone or something was watching. But who? He rubbed his forehead nervously. Look, I don't know what you are or what you want, but this is insane. I'm not a cleaner for aliens. The maid lifted the bucket higher. It is not just cleaning. It is survival. For me. For you. For Earth. The word Earth hit him like a shock. She knew where she was. She knew humans. This wasn't random. Daniel stepped back, but the maid didn't move closer. She remained at the door, tall and silent, like a statue wrapped in silver. He noticed her uniform shimmered faintly, as if tiny lights were moving across the fabric. He wondered if it was alive. Explain, Daniel demanded, his voice sharper now. The maid lowered the bucket slowly. Her glowing mask tilted downward, as if she was struggling with words. Finally, she spoke. My people cannot touch water. It burns us, destroys our skin. But when a human pours water on us, something else happens. Something only your kind can do. Symbols appear. Codes. Messages. Warnings. Daniel frowned. Messages? What kind of messages? Messages hidden inside me, locked in my body. Messages about the danger that is coming. His throat tightened. Danger? What danger? She lifted her head, the glow from her mask brighter now. My people, they are coming here, to Earth. They see humans as weak, as servants. But there is a reason they fear you, human. A reason they tell stories about your kind in our world. They say humans can unlock what no other species can. That is why I am here. Daniel's legs felt weak. He leaned against the wall for support. His world was spinning. Wait. Are you saying your people are planning to invade Earth? The maid was silent for a long time. Then she gave a slow nod. The words stabbed through Daniel's mind. He wanted to laugh, to call it madness, but deep inside, he felt the truth in her voice. This was not a prank. This was not a dream. Something was happening, something huge. He looked at her again. So what do you want from me? She stepped forward slightly, her presence filling the doorway. I want you to wash me with water, so the messages inside me can be revealed. Then I will share with you what I know. Alien knowledge. Secrets of my people. Secrets that can help you survive what is coming. Daniel's breath caught. Alien knowledge. The thought was both terrifying and tempting. If she spoke the truth, this was the chance of a lifetime. A chance to learn things no human had ever known. But also a chance to get pulled into something far too dangerous. He shook his head quickly. Why should I trust you? For all I know, this is a trap. You could be leading me into something worse. The maid lowered her bucket, her posture softening. Her voice grew quiet, almost human. You should not trust me, but you should trust yourself. Deep inside, you feel it. You know this moment matters. If you shut the door now, you will never escape it. The knock will come again, and again, until you answer. Daniel's chest rose and fell heavily. Her words crawled into his mind, and he hated that they made sense. He thought about his lonely life, his quiet nights. He thought about how nothing ever changed, how every day was the same. Maybe this was the reason. Maybe this was why the knock came to him, and not someone else. Still, fear wrapped around him like chains. If I do this, what happens to me? The maid's glowing mask flickered again, dim then bright like a heartbeat. If you do this, human, you will see the truth. You will see what others cannot. But once you see, you cannot go back. Her words were heavy, like stone. Daniel felt them pressing against his chest. He thought of Earth, of invasion, of danger, of knowledge. He thought of himself, one small human in a huge universe. What power could he possibly have? And yet, here stood an alien maid, asking only him, telling him he was the key. Silence filled the room again. The city outside seemed distant, unreal. Daniel finally spoke, his voice low, almost trembling. I don't know why, but part of me wants to believe you. Part of me wants to know. The maid tilted her head, the glow from her mask softening. Then let us make a deal. You wash me. You reveal the messages inside me. In return, I will give you what I know, the truth of my people, the secret of why humans are feared. Daniel stared at her for a long time. His mind screamed to say no, to close the door, and forget this night. But his heart whispered something else. Open the door, step inside the mystery. At last he gave a slow nod. Fine, I'll do it. But if this is some kind of trick... The maid interrupted softly. It is no trick. It is survival. Daniel's decision hung heavy in the air. The deal was made, and with that deal, his life would never be the same again. Daniel closed the door behind the alien maid, his hands shaking as the lock clicked. He stood in his small apartment staring at the strange figure that now occupied his living room. The silver uniform shimmered faintly under the dull light bulb, and the bucket she carried gave off a metallic reflection. Daniel felt as if he had invited the universe itself into his home. The maid placed the bucket on the floor with careful precision. Every move she made was silent, graceful, almost too perfect, like she was rehearsing a dance. She then turned her glowing mask toward Daniel. Water, she said simply. Daniel hesitated. His throat was dry. He moved toward the sink, filled a jug with water, and brought it to her. The sound of water splashing into the bucket seemed louder than usual, echoing through the tiny room. He set the jug down, his palms sweaty. The maid removed her gloves slowly. Daniel froze. Her hands were not like human hands. The fingers were longer, the skin smooth and faintly glowing, like light was flowing just beneath the surface. They did not look frightening, only otherworldly, fragile yet strong. She looked at him and nodded. Begin, Daniel's voice cracked. You want me to actually pour this water on you? Yes, she replied softly. Only you can. Daniel grabbed the jug again, his arms trembling. He stepped closer, his heart pounding. The air felt heavy, as though the room itself was holding its breath. He tilted the jug, letting the water flow. The first drops touched her skin. Instantly, the glow on her hands flared brighter. Strange lines appeared across her arm. Thin, glowing lines, like tattoos written by invisible ink. The patterns twisted and curled, forming symbols Daniel had never seen before. They looked ancient, alive, and they pulsed faintly like they were breathing. Daniel gasped and nearly dropped the jug. What is happening? The maid looked at the glowing symbols on her arm and whispered, The truth is coming. Daniel continued to pour, the water sliding across her arms and shoulders. More symbols appeared, spreading like vines across her skin. They formed circles, sharp angles, and runes that seemed to move slightly, as if they resisted staying still. The glow filled the room, painting the walls with strange shadows. Daniel's fear turned into awe. This is incredible. The maid's voice was calm but carried weight. These are the messages my people hide inside us. The water of this world unlocks them. But only human hands can call them out. That is why I came to you. Daniel stared at the shifting marks. They seemed to whisper to him, though no sound came. His mind buzzed with a strange energy, like he was close to understanding, yet still too far. As the water ran down her arm, the symbols stretched higher, reaching her neck and collarbone. Daniel stepped back, his chest tight with unease. These symbols, they look like warnings. Are they warnings? The maid lowered her head. Yes, they are warnings. Of what is to come. Before Daniel could speak, the symbols flickered violently. The glow dimmed, then brightened again. The maid stiffened, her voice suddenly urgent. Someone has seen us. Daniel's stomach dropped. What do you mean, seen us? There's no one here. The maid turned her mask toward the window. The glow from her body cast a strange reflection against the glass. She whispered, The hunters. They are near. Daniel felt his blood run cold. Hunters, his mind raced. He wanted answers, but fear pushed harder. He dropped the jug back into the sink, water splashing across the counter. His chest rose and fell quickly. The maid raised her hand, the glowing symbols pulsing stronger. Do not be afraid. The first wash has begun. It cannot be undone. You are part of this now. Daniel's voice shook. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want any of this. She stepped closer, her glowing presence filling the space. It does not matter what you wanted. The door was opened. The deal was made. The path has started. There is no going back. Daniel felt cornered, yet strangely drawn forward. He looked again at the glowing marks across her body. They were forming into larger shapes like pieces of a puzzle. A circle appeared, broken into segments. Symbols shifted around it, almost like a map or a key. He whispered, It looks like... Instructions. The maid nodded slowly. Yes, instructions for survival. But we need more. The full message requires more washes. Only then will the truth reveal itself. Daniel's fear twisted into dread. If this was only the beginning, what else would appear? What else was hidden inside her? And what would happen if the hunters she mentioned truly found them? The glow began to dim, fading until only faint traces of the symbols remained on her skin. The room fell into a quiet darkness again, the only sound Daniel's heavy breathing. The maid looked at him through her glowing mask. You have done the first step. You are no longer just human. You are the key. Daniel staggered back, shaking his head. No, I'm just a man. I'm nobody. But deep inside, a voice whispered the truth. He was no longer nobody. He had unlocked something meant to stay hidden. And outside, in the shadows of the night, unseen eyes were already watching. The apartment was dark, except for the faint glow that still lingered on the alien maid's skin. The strange symbols pulsed softly, like embers in the night, refusing to disappear completely. Daniel sat on the edge of his couch, his hands gripping his knees, his chest rising and falling quickly. He felt as if his small apartment had turned into a place of secrets, a place no human should ever see. The maid stood in the center of the room, tall and silent, her silver uniform shining faintly. The glow from her body gave her a ghostly presence. She looked down at her arms, watching the symbols shift and rearrange as if alive. Daniel could not stop staring. The markings looked like a language, yet no language he had ever known. Some symbols looked sharp like blades, others curved like rivers, and some formed small circles that spun slowly before fading. Finally, Daniel found the courage to speak. What do they say? What do these markings mean? The maid turned her glowing mask toward him. They are warnings. My people place them inside us. They hide them from human eyes. But with water, with your touch, the truth comes out. Daniel leaned forward, his heart pounding. Warnings of what? She raised her hand, the glowing marks swirling across her skin. Her voice was low, almost like a whisper. They speak of a storm, a great shadow moving across the stars, a fleet, coming for Earth. Daniel's stomach dropped. His mind refused to accept it, yet deep inside he felt the weight of her words. An invasion? He asked, his voice trembling. The maid was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Daniel's thoughts spun wildly. He had lived a simple, lonely life. He went to work, came home, read books, and repeated the same pattern every day. And now here he was, sitting in a dark room with an alien maid staring at glowing warnings that spoke of Earth's destruction. It was too much, too fast. He stood and began pacing. No, this can't be real. This is insane. If what you're saying is true, why come to me? Why not tell the world? Why not warn governments or scientists? The maid's voice carried a sharp edge. Because they will not believe. Because they are already watched. My people hide among humans. They walk your cities, wear your faces, and wait for the signal. If I revealed myself to them, I would already be dead. Daniel froze mid-step. Her words crawled under his skin. Aliens hiding among humans? Watching? Waiting? His world felt suddenly smaller, less safe. Every shadow outside the window seemed suspicious now. He turned toward her. So you came to me because no one cares about me? Because I'm invisible? Her head tilted slightly, the glow of her mask pulsing faintly. Yes, invisible is safe. Invisible is powerful. You are not watched. That is why you were chosen. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. Chosen? I live alone, eat noodles for dinner, and read books until I fall asleep. That's not chosen. That's pathetic. The maid stepped closer, her tall frame casting strange shadows on the walls. Her glowing symbols reflected in Daniel's eyes. Do not mistake silence for weakness. My people underestimate humans. That is their first mistake, but you can be different. Before Daniel could reply, the symbols on her arms shifted suddenly. They twisted into new shapes, glowing brighter. A sharp humming filled the room as if the symbols were alive. Daniel backed away. What's happening? The maid looked down at her body, her voice tense. The message is changing. Someone is trying to block it. The symbols rearranged into a single large circle broken into jagged pieces. In the center appeared a shape like a starship, long and sharp. Lines spread out from it, pointing toward smaller circles that Daniel realized were planets. One of the circles glowed brighter than the others. Earth. Daniel's chest tightened. It's a map. It's showing Earth, the maid's mask flickered. Yes, they are close. Closer than I feared. The glow brightened once more, and new words formed along her arm. Long vertical symbols that almost looked like scratches. Daniel squinted, his heart hammering. The symbols twisted, and suddenly he felt something strange. It was as if the marks weren't just shapes, they were ideas. His mind translated them without knowing how. The words formed in his head. They know. They are coming. Hide. Daniel staggered back, his breath caught in his throat. It says they know. It says to hide. The maid turned sharply toward the window, her body tense. Then it is too late. We have been seen. Daniel's blood ran cold. He rushed to the window, pulling the curtain aside. The street outside looked normal, quiet, almost too quiet. But then across the road, under the broken streetlight, he saw movement. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, unmoving, watching his apartment. Daniel's voice cracked. Someone's out there. The maid's glowing mask flickered again, brighter than before. Her voice was heavy. Not someone. A hunter. The word sent a chill through Daniel's bones. His world had already turned upside down, but now it twisted even further. He had revealed hidden messages inside an alien body. He had seen warnings of invasion. And now, outside his window, something or someone was already hunting them. The maid stepped closer to him, her voice calm but urgent. You must decide, human. Will you run and hide, or will you stand and see this through? The choice is yours, but either way, your life is no longer your own. Daniel's hands trembled as he pulled the curtain shut. His small apartment felt smaller than ever, trapped between secrets and danger. He swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. What happens if I choose wrong? The maid's glowing mask turned toward him. For a moment the silence stretched. Then she answered softly, Then Earth falls. The room felt colder after the maid spoke. Daniel's skin prickled as he stood near the window, trying to breathe slowly. Outside, the figure under the streetlight had not moved. It just stood there, tall and still, its shadow stretching unnaturally long across the cracked pavement. The glow from the broken bulb flickered, and every time it dimmed, Daniel thought the figure was gone. But when the light blinked back, the figure was still there, closer than before. Daniel's chest tightened. It's not moving. It's just watching. The maid stepped beside him, her silver uniform gleaming faintly in the glow from her skin. Her voice was calm, but Daniel sensed the tension in her tone. That is what hunters do. They wait until you fear. Fear makes humans weak. Fear makes you easy. Daniel tore his eyes away from the window. Hunters? You mean there's more than one? She nodded slowly. Many. but one is enough to kill us both. Daniel's heart raced. He backed away from the window, his hands trembling. His mind screamed at him to run, to get out of this madness. But where would he run? If these hunters were real, if they could track her here, then he was already part of this. The maid looked at him, her glowing mask pulsing faintly. You must choose, human. Do you stand with me or do you leave me to die? Daniel wanted to shout that none of this was his problem, that he had never asked for any of this. But deep inside he knew it was too late. He had opened the door. He had poured the water. He had unlocked the message. There was no undoing it now. Before he could answer, a sound came from the hallway outside his door. A soft scrape like metal dragging against wood. Daniel froze, his blood turning to ice. The maid stiffened, her glowing symbols flickering brighter. He is here, she whispered. The scraping grew louder, then stopped. Silence filled the air, thick and heavy. Daniel's breath came shallow and quick. He stared at the door, waiting for it to burst open. Then came the knock. Not like before, this knock was hard, sharp, shaking the door in its frame. Boom, boom, boom. Daniel stumbled back, his voice cracking. He knows we're in here. The maid moved forward, standing between Daniel and the door. Her tall figure blocked him, her glowing body casting strange shadows against the wall. Stay behind me. The knocking stopped. Silence returned. Then slowly the doorknob began to turn. Daniel's heart pounded so hard it hurt. His instincts screamed at him to run, but his legs would not move. The knob twisted once, twice, then stopped. For a moment Daniel thought maybe the hunter had gone, but then a voice came through the door. Low, cold, and filled with something inhuman. Traitor. The sound made Daniel's stomach twist. It wasn't like any voice he'd heard before. It was sharp, layered, as if more than one creature was speaking at once. The maid straightened her back, her own voice firm and clear. You will not have him. The hunter's laugh was harsh, metallic. The human means nothing, he is weak. He will break like the others. Daniel's face went pale. The others? How many before him had been found? How many had failed? The maid lifted her glowing arm and the symbols on her skin pulsed brighter. You underestimate humans. That will be your downfall. The door creaked as if something heavy pressed against it. Daniel backed away, his voice shaking. We can't fight him. We need to run. The maid turned her glowing mask toward him. Running will not save you. Once the hunter sees you, you belong to the chase. The only way to survive is to outsmart him. Daniel's mouth went dry. Outsmart him? He wasn't a soldier or a hero. He was just a man with an apartment and a shelf of books. But the maid's words sparked something inside him, fear mixed with a strange determination. The door groaned louder. Cracks formed around the frame. The hunter was pushing harder now. Daniel's heart slammed in his chest. He grabbed the first thing he could find, an old metal lamp from the corner of the room. His hands shook as he held it up like a weapon. The maid glanced at him, then gave a slow nod. Cleverness, not strength. Remember that. The next moment, the door exploded inward. Wood splinters flew across the room. Smoke-like shadows filled the doorway, and from within them stepped the hunter. Daniel's breath caught. The figure was tall. Taller than the maid, its body wrapped in dark armor that seemed to move like liquid. Its face was hidden behind a black mask with red slits for eyes. It carried no weapon, yet Daniel felt every part of it was dangerous. The hunter stepped into the room slowly, its red eyes locking on Daniel. The human, it said. Pathetic. Daniel gripped the lamp tighter, his knees trembling. The maid moved in front of him, her glowing symbols burning brighter than before. The hunter tilted its head, its voice mocking. You betray your kind for this weak creature? The maid's voice was sharp. I protect him because he is the key. The hunter laughed again, a cruel sound. Then both of you die. It lunged forward faster than Daniel expected. The maid raised her arm, and the glowing symbols shot out a burst of light that filled the room. The hunter staggered, hissing, but only for a moment. Daniel acted without thinking. He swung the lamp with all his strength, smashing it into the hunter's side. Sparks flew as metal hit armor. The hunter growled, turning its red eyes on him. Fear nearly froze Daniel, but adrenaline pushed him forward. He grabbed the bucket still half filled with water and flung it at the hunter. The water splashed across its dark armor. For a moment the red eyes flickered, dimming slightly. The maid's voice rang out. Yes, water disrupts him. Do it again. Daniel's eyes widened. Water, the simplest thing, could weaken this monster. His fear turned into a wild, desperate hope. The hunter snarled, stepping closer, but Daniel had already grabbed the jug. His hands shook, his breath came fast, but for the first time tonight he felt a sliver of courage. The fight had just begun. The room smelled of smoke and damp air after the fight. Shards of broken wood lay scattered across the floor. The remains of the door now nothing but splinters. Daniel stood with his chest heaving, clutching the empty jug in his hand. His heart pounded so hard it hurt, but his eyes stayed locked on the hunter. The alien creature had staggered back after the splash of water. Its black armor hissed and steamed where the liquid touched, the red glow in its mask flickering weakly. The hunter let out a low growl, then melted into the shadows, slipping back through the broken doorway like smoke. Daniel collapsed onto the couch, his arms trembling. He's gone? The maid remained standing, her glowing symbol still bright across her arms and chest. She stared at the doorway for a long moment before answering. Gone, for now. But not gone forever. Hunters never stop. They will come again. Daniel rubbed his face with shaking hands. I can't do this. I'm just a man. I'm not a fighter. I don't want. The maid's voice cut through his panic. You cannot run from truth, human. It has already found you. Daniel looked up at her. Truth? What truth? Tell me everything. No more half answers. I need to know what's going on. The maid's glowing mask tilted downward as if she were deciding whether to speak. Then she slowly sat on the chair across from him. For the first time, Daniel noticed how tired she seemed, how heavy her movements were. She lifted her hand, letting the glowing symbols shine. My people are called the Aelvari. For thousands of years, we traveled across stars, searching for worlds to conquer. We are strong, but we are not complete. Our weakness is water. We cannot touch it without pain. And yet within water hides a power we fear, a power only humans can unlock. Daniel frowned. Power? You mean those markings? She nodded. Yes, the symbols inside me are not just warnings. They are part of an ancient code, a code that protects worlds. My people want to erase it to keep it hidden. But when you poured water on me, you revealed it. That is why they fear you. Humans can bring out what they cannot control. Daniel's mind reeled. He shook his head. So your people, they're planning to invade Earth? Her glowing mask dimmed slightly as though she was ashamed. Yes, the invasion is already prepared. Fleets wait beyond your skies. Hidden agents already walk among you. When the signal comes, Earth will fall in days. Daniel felt his stomach twist. His entire world, his quiet life, his books, his late-night coffee, suddenly seemed so small, so fragile. And what about you? Why are you helping me? If you're one of them, why betray your own kind? The maid's voice grew softer. Because I have seen what happens when my people conquer. Worlds burn. Species vanish. I was born to serve, but I learned to doubt. And then, I learned the truth. Humans are not weak. Humans are not servants. You are something more. My people call you cleaners. But you are more than that. You are survivors. You are creators. That is why I came to you. Daniel stared at her glowing skin, the shifting symbols that looked alive. His voice cracked. And what am I supposed to do? I can't fight an entire invasion. I'm nobody. The maid leaned forward, her glowing mask inches from him. You are not nobody. You are human. And humans have something my people cannot understand. Choice. The word hung heavy in the room. Daniel swallowed hard, his mind racing. Choice? She nodded. Yes, the choice to fight even when you cannot win. The choice to create hope where none exists. That is why the code hides in us. That is why only you can reveal it. It was made for humans long before my people found Earth. Daniel's breath caught. Wait, are you saying this code, this protection was made by humans? By us? Her voice was calm. Yes. Long ago before history, you remember, your kind touched the stars. You left behind secrets hidden in water, hidden in life. My people tried to bury them, but humans, even without knowing, still carry the key. Daniel's head spun. His hands gripped the couch tightly. He wanted to deny it, to laugh, to say it was impossible, but deep inside something stirred. Something felt right, a forgotten truth hidden beneath his ordinary life. The maid placed her glowing hand gently on the table between them. The symbols swirled brighter. If you continue the washes, if you unlock all the messages inside me, you will see the full code. And with it, Earth may have a chance to survive. Daniel's heart pounded. And if I don't? Her mask turned toward the shattered doorway. Then earth falls, and everything you know will be ashes. Silence filled the apartment. The sound of the distant city outside seemed unreal, too small compared to the storm hanging over them. Daniel leaned back, covering his face with his hands. He wanted to hide, to forget, but the memory of the hunter's red eyes burned in his mind. The words of the code echoed, "They know. They are coming." He lowered his hands, his eyes hard. "If I do this, if I keep helping you, then what? I'll be hunted until they kill me?" The maid's voice softened. "You will be hunted, yes, but you will not be alone. You will have me, and more will come. Others who see the truth. Together you can fight. Together you can change the future." Daniel exhaled slowly, his fear still heavy but mixed now with something else. Resolve. He had lived his life believing he was invisible, unnoticed. But maybe invisibility was not weakness. Maybe it was strength. He met the maid's glowing mask with steady eyes. "Then we finish it. We reveal the full message, whatever it takes." The maid bowed her head slightly, her glowing symbols pulsing brighter. "Then you have chosen. And now, human, your true fight begins." The night pressed heavy against Daniel's shattered apartment. The broken door hung loose on its hinges, splinters scattered across the floor like bones. The air still carried the faint smell of smoke and wet metal, a reminder of the hunter's brief but terrifying visit. Daniel stood by the table, fists clenched, his heart still beating fast. The maid stood opposite him, her glowing symbols fading but not gone, dim pulses of light running across her skin like veins of fire. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. His voice was low but steady. "You said I have a choice. So what happens if I walk away right now? If I say no?" The maid lifted her mask slightly as though staring into him. "Then earth falls. You live long enough to watch everything burn, and the hunters will still come for you. Because you touched the code. There is no true escape now. Only paths." Daniel swallowed hard. His mind screamed to turn back, to pretend none of this had ever happened. But deep inside, another voice pushed harder. The same voice that had told him to open the door. The same voice that had made him pour the water. "If not you, then who?" Before he could answer, the maid stiffened. The glow on her body flickered brighter. "They are close again." Daniel's blood ran cold. "Another hunter?" Her voice grew sharper. "No, more." Outside, the quiet street began to change. Shadows shifted unnaturally as though the night itself was alive. Figures moved under the flickering lamps. 2, then 3, then more. Red slits of eyes lit the darkness. Daniel's breath caught. "They're surrounding us." The maid turned toward him, her voice calm but heavy. "This is the moment. Choose now. Run and hide. Or fight and awaken the full code." Daniel's body shook. He thought of his small life. Books, noodles, late nights with no one around. That life was gone now. He was standing at the edge of something greater, something terrifying, and yet he felt it. The strange pull of destiny. His voice came firm, surprising even himself. "I'll fight," the maid nodded once. "Then take courage, for the hunters will not stop." The first impact came a second later. The window shattered inward, shards of glass spraying across the room. A hunter leapt inside, its black armor rippling like smoke, red eyes burning. Daniel stumbled back, grabbing the broken lamp he had used before. The maid moved quickly, symbols blazing, her body glowing like a living weapon. She raised her hand and a pulse of light shot forward, slamming the hunter into the wall, but another was already climbing through the broken door, its shadowy armor twisting as it hissed. Daniel's instincts screamed. He grabbed the bucket and splashed the remaining water at the second hunter. The creature shrieked, its armor sizzling, and for a brief moment it staggered back. Daniel's heart raced. Water was their weakness. It worked before, it worked now. The maid's voice rang out over the chaos. "Do not fear. You are stronger than they believe." But Daniel knew the truth. They could not fight forever. For every hunter that fell, more appeared in the street below. Red eyes filled the darkness, watching, waiting. The maid turned to him quickly, her glowing mask inches from his face. "The final wash must happen now. It is the only way. Pour the water, reveal the last code." Daniel looked at the broken jug, only drops of water left. His chest tightened. "There's not enough." The maid's voice was sharp, desperate. "Even a drop is enough if you believe." Do it, human. Do it now. Daniel's hand shook as he dipped his fingers into the remaining water. He pressed them against her glowing arm. The moment the liquid touched, the symbols exploded with light, racing across her entire body like fire. The hunters froze, hissing, as the glow filled the room. The symbols rearranged faster than before, forming a giant circle across her chest, a perfect seal of light. In the center appeared the final message. Daniel's mind buzzed. The code wasn't just words this time, it was images, feelings, raw knowledge pouring into his head. He saw stars burning, fleets of ships moving across the void, Earth shining like a fragile jewel. And then he saw something else. A weapon hidden deep beneath the oceans of Earth waiting to be awakened. His voice came out in a whisper. It's a key to defend Earth. The maid's glowing mask turned toward him, her voice trembling. Yes, only humans can unlock it. That is why you matter. That is why you must survive. Daniel's knees nearly buckled under the weight of what he saw. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was holding the future of Earth in his hands. The hunters roared in anger, red eyes blazing brighter. They rushed forward, shadows twisting like claws. But Daniel no longer froze. He no longer felt small. He grabbed the last of the water, flung it wide, and shouted, "You're afraid of us. That's why you hide. That's why you hunt." The water splashed across two hunters, their armor sizzling and cracking. They shrieked and staggered back. The maid raised her hands, unleashing the full glow of the awakened code. The hunters recoiled, their shadows burning away in the blinding light. The room shook. The air vibrated. Daniel felt power around him, ancient and alive. The code was awake. The hunters hissed one last time before vanishing into the shadows, retreating into the night. Silence fell again, heavy and deep. Daniel dropped the bucket, his body trembling. The maid stood tall, her glowing symbols fading slowly, her mask dim. She looked at him with something almost human in her voice. "You chose well, Daniel. You are no longer invisible. You are hope." Daniel's chest rose and fell, sweat dripping down his face. He looked at the broken window, the empty street, the shadows retreating. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to breathe, but then his eyes widened. Far above, in the night sky, faint lights flickered. Not stars, not planes, ships.
Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, glowing faintly as they moved across the heavens. Daniel's heart stopped. The invasion had already begun.